What is up, everyone? It's Quinn here, and in today's video, I'm going to be going through my top 20 week 1 fantasy quarterback rankings. I've already put out my videos for the running back and wide receiver positions. Tomorrow, I'll have tight ends and defenses, but today it is the top 20 quarterbacks. If you enjoy the video, hit the like button, subscribe, but let's just dive right into it here. And early on, like the first couple of tiers, there's really not a massive difference between like my week 1 rankings and just my overall rankings heading into the season. In tier 1, I have the two top quarterbacks. They're actually facing off this weekend. We have Josh Allen taking on Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen is my quarterback 1 this week. Lamar Jackson is my quarterback 2. If you drafted either of these dudes, they're obviously going to be your starting quarterback. Then in tier 2, it's the same tier 2 I have for my season-long rankings. It is Jalen Hurts as my quarterback 3, and then Jaden Daniels as my quarterback 4. We really only start to see some shakeup once we're getting into tier 3. Now, I still have Joe Burrow here as my quarterback 5. The Bengals are going to put up points in this matchup. I do think Burrow would actually be better in some of like these potential shootout matchups where the other offense might actually be able to keep up a little bit, but they're going to put up a lot of points here against the Browns. He's still a very strong fantasy option, so he's going to stay as my quarterback 5. Someone who does move up a little bit based on the matchup is Kyler Murray. I think the Cardinals are going to be able to put up points against this Saints defense. I've also just been higher on Kyler than consensus. This does kind of feel like a make or break season just for him in terms of like being an upside fantasy quarterback, where early on in his career, it did look like he had like high-end QB1 potential. It's kind of stalled a little bit over the last couple of seasons, but you have Trey McBride, you have Marvin Harrison Jr. stepping into year 2. This is the opportunity for Kyler to really stamp a strong fantasy season. And then the final guy in this tier is going to be Patrick Mahomes. I am kind of buying into a bounce back Mahomes season this year. The last couple of seasons have been underwhelming, but we can't forget like the historic tear this guy was on to start off his career. He's not going to have Rashee Rice, for the first 6 weeks. I think this could be a competitive matchup here against the Chargers, but I think we're going to see a better Patrick Mahomes. I think they're going to, kind of take the training wheels off this offense. I don't think they want to repeat these like super close, one score, one possession games that they had last year. So Patrick Mahomes will be my quarterback 7. Then looking at tier 4, I have 3 guys in this tier. I have Baker Mayfield, Trevor Lawrence, and Bo Nix. Now Baker's not going to have his full group of weapons to start off the season. No Chris Godwin, no Jalen McMillan, but you obviously have Mike Evans. I think Igbuka's going to step in, be a solid option right away. Then for Trevor Lawrence, I think probably the guy I'm like highest on this week compared to my overall rankings, but I'm still very high on T-Law from like a season-long perspective. I'm buying into this Jaguars offense. He is a great week 1 matchup against a very weak Panthers defense. And so with Brian Thomas Jr., the addition of Travis Hunter, Liam Cohen coming in, I'm really excited to see this Jaguars offense. And I think Trevor Lawrence is a really solid play this week. Then at quarterback 10, I have Bo Nix. This probably isn't going to be the most competitive matchup. This could be a spot where they get an early lead, kind of, lean on the running backs, J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, but I think the Broncos will be able to put up points. I think Bo Nix has the opportunity to be a really strong fantasy quarterback 1 this season. When you remove like the first 4 or 5 games of the 2024 season, Bo Nix was a super reliable option from then on. I think he's going to, keep that going here in 2025. Doesn't necessarily have the best weapons in the world, but you add Evan Ingram, you have some young wide receivers like Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, you have Pat Bryant coming in. All these guys could take leaps, or Pat Bryant could just come in and overachieve early on in the season. Then moving into tier 5, I have Justin Fields, Drake May, Brock Purdy, and Dak Prescott. This is not a great matchup for Justin Fields here in week 1 against the Steelers, but you're not really betting on Justin Fields coming in and playing like a top 5, top 10 quarterback from a real life perspective. You're banking on him coming in, being the starter, and using his legs, racking up a ton of rushing production. And I think he'll be able to do that just fine in this matchup against the Steelers. Then I have Drake May. I think Drake May is a super interesting fantasy option this season. I feel like his rushing upside gets slept on a little bit. It's not like he is the best supporting cast, but they've made improvements to the offensive line. They've upgraded his weapons. You bring in Stephon Diggs. You draft Kyle Williams. I do think we're going to see Drake May take a year 2 leap. Then we have Brock Purdy. He's just going to be ranked a little bit lower than I have in like my overall rankings because this is kind of a tough matchup here against the Seahawks, but still playable as like a fringe quarterback 1. And then the last guy in this tier is Dak Prescott. The Cowboys do not project super well for Vegas. I believe they have the 5th lowest implied point total, but this is still Dak Prescott. He has CeeDee Lamb. He has George Pickens. You also look at the run game, right? And they just like don't have a ton going on there. Like, I guess it's Javonte Williams who's going to be their running back one. So I do think he's going to have some passing volume. And I do think this could be a game where like maybe they lose by, 10-ish points, but I could still see Dak turning in a pretty solid passing day. And then the sixth and final tier, the quarterback position is deep. I think all these guys are playable this week. I have Jordan Love, Jared Goff, Justin Herbert, Caleb Williams, JJ McCarthy, and then CJ Stroud. We have the two guys in the same matchup, Jordan Love and Jared Goff. I think both these defenses are pretty tough, so neither guy is really getting like a cake matchup here. Then we have Justin Herbert, pretty tough matchup here against the Chiefs, so more of like a mid-tier QB2 play. Then I have back-to-back guys in the same matchup, Caleb Williams, JJ McCarthy. Honestly, really interested in seeing how both of these quarterbacks play on Monday Night Football. Caleb Williams, obviously kind of underwhelming rookie season, but it was kind of a disaster around him. Now you have Ben Johnson coming in. We'll see if he's able to step in and just ball out right away. If he does, I think he's going to be ranked much higher moving forward. And then kind of a similar thing for JJ McCarthy. He does project well, per Vegas. They're not really expecting this Vikings offense to go through a ton of these growing pains. Obviously, you have strong weapons with Justin Jefferson. No Jordan Addison to start off the season, but you still have TJ Hawkinson. You have Kevin O'Connell as like a quarterback whisperer. So I think McCarthy will be fine early on, but we have to remember, this is pretty much his rookie season. This is going to be his first NFL start. So I'm kind of tempering expectations in week one. And then we'll close it out here with CJ Stroud. Obviously, the offensive line is a big concern. You have Nico Collins. You have some young weapons that I don't know are going to play a huge factor in week one with like Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll. So CJ Stroud will slot in here as the quarterback 20. I think the quarterback position is fun. Even guys outside these rankings, there's still some players you can get excited about. A Bryce Young, Michael Penix. You also have Matthew Stafford, who I think could be a real player for fantasy at the quarterback position. So if you did wait at quarterback, I think you'll be fine. I think a lot of these guys are totally fine options in your starting lineup. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe. Check out the other rankings videos if you haven't seen them yet. Tight ends defense is out tomorrow. But thank you all for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one.